Good morning. My name is Ken. I'm gonna make an attempt to do some bakes, which is a typical Saturday morning for us actually, when we're all home together. And bakes, I believe some of the islands in Guyana is known for calling it by that name. In Jamaica and some other islands, they call it Johnny cakes. So what I'm gonna attempt to make this morning are bakes, and I'll make a few. The first thing I would suggest is that you wash your hands with soap, real good, because you're going to be touching with the dough. So you wash your hands real good, and then wipe them dry. And the flour we're going to use, the flour that I normally use is unbleached white flour. Some people just use a regular bleach, but I like to use unbleached. It appears to be safer. I'm going to put enough flour to make at least 6 or 7 bakes. Not many of us here today. So let's say maybe a cup of flour. I don't make a lot of measurements, but you can judge it as you go along. Then we're going to put baking powder in here. I'll say at least a tablespoon of baking powder. We're going to mix in the baking powder into the flour. Just mix it in as much as you can. Of course you can't see the difference, but just keep turning it and mixing it in. And you make a bit of a space in the middle of your bowl, because you're going to be adding water mixed with sugar into that solution there, and go from there. So I would say at least a half a cup of water, and you can mix the sugar in to your taste. Right now I'm putting 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, and this is turbinado sugar. This is not dark brown sugar that you will get in the supermarket. This is turbinado sugar. Now you're going to add that liquid to the flour, and again make a hollow part of the bowl so the water can get down in there. Some people use their hands to mix, but I'm going to use a spoon to keep my hands out of the dough. But mix it in really good. And you want to make this dough a little gummy. Not too dry, not too wet. Always keep some sugar and some flour nearby, so that when you get into roll the dough and preparing it to bake, you want to have like a flour base so it doesn't stick to your hands. Some of it will stick, but majority of it wouldn't. But you want to mix this thing in. You notice I'm spinning the bowl at the same time, so you don't have to go around the bowl. Let the bowl work for you. Growing up in Guyana, my mom and my aunts and cousins, grandmother, they used to make it, but we didn't get a lot of opportunity to see how they were doing it. I just had to remember a few things, and when I became a bachelor, I tried to put everything together. Then I asked questions from various people who had art, and people make it differently, and it's amazing how it comes out. I guess some of the best bakes I ate was in England, in London actually, and I've never been able to copy what this lady did. We called her Aunt Thelma, but she made some fabulous bakes. I believe she used yeast in the process. Again, I'm using baking powder that works with me. And also we can use some butter, maybe a quarter stick of of butter, what it would do, it would make the base crispy when it's cooking, much like the North American biscuit that we eat here in America. So I'm gonna let this just set for a while and then come back and add some butter to it and also some flour. Like I mentioned to you before, just put some flour around the edges. I like to get it on the bottom of the pot also, this mixing pan. Okay, I just added just a little bit of butter to the dough, and when the bakes are made, they should come out a bit flaky, which is a good way of introducing it to our American family and friends, because it comes a little bit like the biscuits that they're used to. It's a really nice flavor. A little bit of salt in it, in the butter, which gives it a nice taste. So we're gonna cut a piece of the dough off. And we're still kneading it, because you want to get all that flour mixed in to make a dough. And then we shape the dough to the size of the bakes you want to make. Add it to the fire, actually to the oil. Okay, we're gonna inspect the bakes now, because we don't want them to burn. The first one looks nice, a nice golden brown. So we can turn that over so that both sides can cook evenly. Today we're using cast iron as opposed to stainless steel. Cast iron for me cooks evenly, and there's some nutritional benefits to using a cast iron, especially for people who have iron deficiency problem. So it's a healthy choice. The iron is really good, and you have to keep the fire either moderate or low so that it doesn't burn your food or overcook it. So just keep your eyes on it, and it's the kind of thing that you want to be near the fire at all times, near the stove when you're cooking, because things can happen.
Okay, here we have the authentic Jamaican ackee and saltfish, otherwise known as codfish and ackee. The first ingredients we need is your ackee, any brand will do, 1 pound of salted codfish. Now the codfish has to be boiled or soaked overnight in order to release some of the salt that comes with the codfish. Once it is boiled, you mince it just as I have here to any size that you like. I prefer it to be like medium. You have 1 medium onion. This is chopped and diced. It can be coarse, it doesn't have to be really fine. And 1 medium tomato. A 1/4 cup of oil is sufficient for the can of ackee and the pound of codfish. You can use more if you like. 1 sprig of fresh thyme, 2 cloves of garlic, and your basic what we call pimento, or otherwise known as allspice. Now we're going to cook our ackee and saltfish. 1/4 cup of oil into your heated frying pan or skillet. I like to make sure all of my oil is out. Next, we're going to add our diced onions. Just pour it out. Followed by tomato. In our frying pan with the onions and the tomato, I'll sprinkle in my allspice or pimento as we call it, and just give it a few turns in order to allow the onion to sweat. We're not trying to cook them too softly, just to have them a little bit transparent. Next, we add our cloves of garlic. I like to take everything out. I'll just give it a little bit more heat to speed up the process. As soon as you see your onions, a little bit transparency in the onion, you're now ready to add your codfish. Scrape all of my codfish out. Now this does not require lengthy cooking because remember the codfish has already been boiled and we tasted it to make sure that there isn't too much salt in our codfish. I'm going to give it a little bit more heat for fast cooking. Turn it over a few times. And to this, I'm going to add my fresh thyme. Like I said, you can use the dried thyme if you don't have fresh, but I like to have fresh everything. It's just a preference, but the dried thyme will do just as well. Allow a few seconds for this all to incorporate so the flavor will get into the fish before we add the ackee. As this ackee is, we got it in the can and it's already pre-cooked, it tends to want to mash up, crumble up, but we don't want too much of that. To the codfish mixture, I'm going to brown some black pepper. Black pepper gives food excellent flavor and it's also very good in the ackee and the codfish. Very noticeable in Jamaican cooking, the fresh grounded black pepper. Now you can see the codfish with the seasoning bubbling up, so you can know that it's now ready for the ackee. You just pour in your ackee which has been drained from the can with the brine off of the can, and not too much movement with the ackee. It will cook sufficiently well, like that. To this, I like to chop in what we call scallion or spring onion. I just chop a few pieces on top. So we continue to cut up our scallion. And the reason why we do this last, we don't want to have any overcooking of the scallion or the ackee. You just like this, like a little garnish on top. And you'll still receive the flavor out of it at the very end. I'm going to sprinkle in a little garlic powder. I like to taste the garlic. Again, any brand will do, it doesn't matter. And a little bit more grounded black pepper. Beautiful, look at that. The sprinkling of the black pepper. You can see the tomato and the onion. And that is your ackee and saltfish done. It's cooked, we're ready to eat. Bon appetit!
And here are the bakes.
Here is the ackee and saltfish, finished product. Dig in.
All right.